So speaking of the specificity that you talked about earlier, question number 10. What characteristics cause polygyny to go well?
So not trying to simplify it, but I'm going to make the statement again. Happiness. That's what a marriage is about, right?
Mutual happiness.
Mutual happiness. The building of family. Obviously, when two families come together, you actually build friends. So, prayerfully everything works out and everybody gets along. And so, your friends are my friends and we hang out together and we do different things. And so when if you like the idea of a big family, which some people do, not everybody does, then you can have that. Obviously, the common denominator is going to be the man. There's no getting around that. However, when we build families, we allow to fulfill our purpose. And in my opinion, the only way we live on, the only way we continue our life is through having children and allowing them to be either what we couldn't get done in our lifetime or watching them expand what we have built already as a family, and in turn even maybe establishing a legacy. So a lot of things can go right.
When I talk about characteristics, though, I guess the better way to word it would have been what should be done, within that kind of marriage and relationship to make it work. Because, of course, question number 11 is going to be what can be done to cause it to go awry. But yeah, so what are things that you've noticed that cause this arrangement to work?
Communication.
Okay.
Number one, communication. And that's with all things. I don't care what type of relationship it is, if it's a friendship, communication. But communication, understanding what to talk about, understanding what not to talk about. There's sometimes where there's certain things that you're not going to see eye to eye on. And just it's better to avoid it, provided that it's not a critical part of your relationship.
Doesn't that bring about lying and lies of omission?
Well,
because you don't talk about it, so therefore you're still doing your own thing.
I have this thing about lies of omission. And the only thing I say about lies of omission is you are presuming that I'm omitting information based on what you want to know, where lying in itself is you ask me something, I know what you're asking me, and I just choose to say something other than what it is. So what I would say is that I don't think it promotes lying or lying by omission for those who actually know what the other person wants to know, because there are sometimes it's like, hey, listen, every time we talk about money, we start arguing. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. It's like, I ain't no man, nothing. I want to know how much you make. Like every time you ask me how much I make, every time you ask me how much money I spent, every time you ask me what I did with my money, it becomes another conversation about how I should spend my money. The bills are paid. You ask me for something, I give it to you. But when and this is a very real conversation that happens in relationships. Yeah. When you start spending my money for me, you spend your money and you spend my money. That means your money goes to this, that, and another. Then you tell me what my money should be going to according to this, that, and another. And, that's something that could break anything down.
So there's a yours and my money thing.
Well, there shouldn't be.
Okay.
But the reality is that there's a level of our money. Yeah. And then there's a level of yours and mine. So I can't, and I'll just say this, as we talk about polygyny, it's like, we're married. If you need some money, yeah, you can go on my wallet and take some money, but there's a courtesy of letting me know you went in my wallet, right? Yeah. So it's like, hey, listen, I needed $20. I didn't have it. I took $20. That's the courtesy. Is it all right? Especially if I'm sitting right there and you go in and you don't tell me anything. And the same thing vice versa, me going into your purse. But there's some times where it's like, hey, listen, no, this money was for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And you went and you took it and you didn't let me know, which becomes a trust factor.
Well, let's continue with question number 10 because we're
we're
going into
all
11.
over the place.
But
let me say this before we get to number 10.
No,
I'm
we're
gonna
on
say
10.
this.
But I'm just saying we're still talking about what can go well.
What can go well?
Yeah.
So the thing is that the sharing of resources. If you believe in sharing of resources. Yeah. Hey, you can actually build and have some great things, but everybody has to have the buy-in.
Yeah.
The children being together, everybody knows good development for a child is to be around other children. You have other family members and things of that nature. And it should be focused on family. It should be focused on the things that you do for one another. It should be focused on helping one another. And that's all the same foundation and fundamentals in a monogamous relationship.
Okay.
As far as going wrong or awry.
So that's question number 11. What are some specific things that can go wrong, can go awry in a polygynous relationship or with polygynous family/marriage?
Divorce.
And
right.
wait, and I'm talking about things
characteristics.
Things that could cause the breakdown is what I'm trying to ask.
Again, the lack of trust, the lack of faith. A big one. I'm sure Miss Eve will love this one. Big one. Showing favoritism from one wife to another. And we see examples of that in our holy scriptures. And when favoritism comes up, then competition starts to play. Then does he still love me? Comes into play. And why doesn't he spend time with me anymore? And I'm a person who says, there's sometimes where you think he's not spending time with you because he wants to be with another woman, where really it could be your very actions that makes him not want to spend time with you, and you're unwilling to accept that.
Okay.
Oh, he just wants somebody else. No, you choose to focus that he's with somebody else, but really there was a major event, something that happened between you two that made him fall out of love with you, and you're unwilling to fix it. And that can happen either which way, right? Yeah. And so what happens is that when you deal in polygyny, we look for a scapegoat. We're like, oh, he's not coming home anymore. It's that other woman. Oh, his other child allegedly needs all this attention. So that's why because he wants to be around that child, he doesn't want to be around me anymore. Where it may be something that y'all need to work on in your relationship. But these are all things that as they start to occur, they can be issues. And so that's why you see me kind of speak at length about money. Because like, oh, now you're giving all your money to her and now you ain't got nothing over here. And if you wanted to have another one, then you're going to treat us all the same.
But you're saying that that's what, there
Correct.
shouldn't be favoritism.
And so you sit down, you tell them, you like, this is the same amount of money that I've been dealing with you. Now all of a sudden you need more money. Why is that? Oh, now things need to be fixed. Now I need a new pair of shoes. Now I need a new bag. When's the last time you bought me a wardrobe? You would have never asked me that question in life. You say you were fine with buying your own clothes, but now I need to afford you.
Interesting.
Right? So those are the things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
But people have to understand if you're going into it, again, communication. If you have this conversation before you start all of this, it will help quell. It won't go away, but it will help quell some of the concerns and possible pitfalls.
So that drama that you just mentioned is a perfect segue to question number 12. Why would a man want to have the challenge of dealing with multiple personalities?
I walked into this one.
What is the why would a man want?
Do y'all hear her voice?
Now, of course, if you objectify even wives, then the only thing you're concerned about are body parts.
Okay.
No. I'm making a decision. So if there is a man who objectifies wives, then it doesn't, then somehow he's able to sidestep the personality and all he's looking for is body parts. But I'm talking about a actual decent human, right?
Okay.
Not a human rights violation dude, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So why would, what benefit is there? Why would a man even want the challenge of dealing with this woman with this personality, this with another? Why would he want that?
Well, I hear you speak of it as if he goes in saying, I'm going to have a problem with this one and this one and this one. Men don't do that. And I'm just going to speak as a man because I am.
You saying they don't think ahead? What are you saying?
Not that they don't think ahead. When we get with somebody, we assume that they're going to act right, which is the same that y'all expect for us. You don't expect to get into arguments.
No,
you
I'm
don't
not
expect to have disagreements. You're talking about multiple personalities.
Just having to deal with and adjust to totally different chicks.
We think we got it under control.
But why would you?
We believe we got
to deal with three different personalities
because we got it under control. It's not an issue. I'm not worried about that.
Getting adjusted to this one and adjusted to the desires of this one, adjusted to this one.
Right. And so the dating environment. Let's just keep it real for a minute, right? For real. Let's just keep it real for a minute. Men date multiple women, and they don't stop and say, oh, I got to balance this one and this one. Why would I need to date one at a time? And he's like, okay, I went out with a date with that one. She was all right. I might go out on a date with this one. We'll see. And it's just a reality. Very grown conversation. We start to choose which one we think we can deal better with, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the one who we start to spend more time with. It's the same thing for polygyny. You know what you have. So now when you start to look at the next one, you go, hey, is this somebody who I think can handle this, who wants to be around me, who appreciates? Listen, if she starts complaining about her time and the time you spend with her and that's after like day 3 and you're like, oh, hey, listen, you called me yesterday and I missed your call and we didn't speak all day. You must obviously not love me. The warning signs are there for you. Like, she wants you to speak to you every day, throughout the day, all the time, and all those things happen. And so I'll go back to the communication aspect once again. Yeah. And I stop and I say, hey, listen, if you don't plan to speak to her every day, you need to let her know. She's explaining to you she expects to hear from you and be heard every day in some way, shape, or form. So those are the things that, you got to kind of deal with. But I say for men, we don't be like, oh, this is another personality. Oh, no. Like, no, we don't do that. We stop and we say, do we think she can handle it? Do we think she can handle being with me? And then we go from there. We really ask ourselves, she thinks she can handle me? Because of the male ego. Our ego stops and says, if she bothered to give me her number, she must love me.
So it's not necessarily like, okay, it's just easier for me to grow with this person than to have to adjust to all these other people.
But I'm going to tell you
because a lot of times people do choose. Well, what I'm saying is that a lot of people do choose the path of least resistance. But for some reason in this area, not choosing the path of least resistance.
I was about to say, not most men. A lot of men like the challenge.
Okay. All right. So now we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
Listen,
it's a challenge.
Well, not necessarily for polygyny, but if a man, I'm just being real.
Please be real.
Man, if a man thought he could juggle 19 women in 1 week and get away with it, trust me, he'd do it. He'd be like, oh, I'm the man right now. I had 19 women and I did blah, 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 because the male ego is driven. I'm just keeping it real. And so I say it's like for polygyny, that's why I said it's important to understand that polygyny is a relationship, not just you dating different people. Because when you date, if I decide to not call you anymore, I'm a bad guy, but it's not as bad as when we're in a relationship and I don't call you anymore, right? So when men do that, they don't look at it as, oh, I got to balance this personality, then that personality, then what if? We just stop and we say to ourselves, okay, I think I can handle this person. I think we mesh well, like with any other relationship. And let's see where this goes from here.
So, speaking of the way women are treated, question number 13, and this is a long question.
How many questions we got?
What the 20?
20,
What
okay.
does it say about a man's empathy and character? Okay. What does it say about a man's empathy and character that he would want multiple women but not approve of his woman having multiple men?